I'm Dane Rose, and I bought this lot as a general contractor specializing in difficult lots. Basically, when you buy a lot that most people cannot imagine how to develop, and you develop it, the lot becomes twice as valuable as it did before. And I've done that a few times, and this is definitely in that category. So here we have the road, and the road has a couple of problems, which is why the county developed a $600,000 retaining wall design, which was basically designed to be about 3 feet away from the edge of the road and go down 68 feet deep. So that was the county's solution to that problem. Now, as is often the case with government spending, it's a terrible solution. You get very little value for that $680,000. And you can actually develop this entire house structure right here for the same price. And by building, and I do realize this is not going to make much sense if you're not an engineer or an experienced general contractor, but this is a video that is intended to be communicated to a structural engineer, a general contractor with a lot of experience. Now I'm just going to speak to the technical aspect, the engineering aspect. But if you build 20-foot deep piers at a lower point in the land that run all the way up to the top flat area, and then these sidewalls are done in concrete, you get a number of benefits. The first thing is, by turning this into a square, you're creating substantially more, like 2 or 3 times more resistance to this road area here than you would with this 68-foot retaining wall. And so what you're doing by designing the house in this way is you're providing cheap, superior support for the roadway, which is a county dilemma, meaning there was a slide there before. They fixed it with a crappy design of layer upon layer of asphalt that slowly erodes away. And so it's just waiting for them to spend a lot of money on it, which, I think in the disclosure, I have the design from the county of this 680,000 square foot wall. They got a bid on it and haven't gotten around to building it. If you build your house like this, it will save the county $680,000. And it will do something far more important. It can allow the street to be a 2-lane street. Right now, there are accidents every year because the area where it's narrow, only one car can go by at a time. So there's about $10,000 of accidents every single year, fender benders. So far, nobody's been killed or hurt, but this is also important bargaining leverage with the county. This design right here does multiple things. It saves the county $680,000. And they didn't even plan to expand the road into a two-lane road, right? So it's incredible waste. By being able to expand the road in concrete out to this point here, now people can safely walk. By having a sidewalk right here, people can safely walk, 2 lanes can pass. It's a gift to the neighborhood, it's a gift to the taxpayer. It's what should be done. And that doesn't mean that it will be done. or that there will be much appreciation at the county for saving the public large sums of money, reducing accidents. It's just what should be done if you care about people, if you care about safety, if you care about good design, and if you care about money, because this entire structure can be built for less than $680,000 if it's done with an intelligent homeowner rather than government spending. So a good proposition would be to involve the county commissioners and explain this. Now, as I say, there's not necessarily an eager, receptive mind, but there may be. I haven't pushed it that far to know if we can find an intelligent county commissioner or not. But a commissioner's job is to look at the big picture and advocate for public interest. So because this is getting so much support diagonally through here, this becomes a very small wall. This becomes a very small wall. And the sequencing of this is very important if you want to build this cost effectively, practically, with as minimal disruption to the neighborhood. And I'll describe that here. So this would be my plan of action to develop this property. The first would be to, start a campaign with the commissioner and get support for what is a strong public interest project. Make a safer road, save accidents, solve the county's $680,000 problem, and prevent future slides, basically, which this is going to do admirably well. So step one would be a short road closure. People can access other ways, drilling this pier and drilling this pier here, right? So that's step one. Step two is forming this area here in concrete and building this wall here between the posts and concrete. Then concrete can be poured into this triangle, which is much stronger than the asphalt that is there. And what we've done now is created a place for cranes, cement trucks, and the like to park along the entire length of the property without disrupting the road. So this is a really important step to minimize neighborhood impact, and it provides immediate benefit to the public walking and driving in this area. So that's step one. Once the cranes and cement trucks can park out here, step two is to do these posts here, form those up, form all the pillars up, and do this entire slab here with a cutout for the stairs to go down. So that's step two. Now you have a wonderful staging area under here for equipment, supplies, building, storage. It's a wonderful place. Now keep in mind, the road department approached me because the property begins here currently. It's 40 feet from the edge of the street. Now the county does not want to maintain this area. They don't need it, they don't want it. So the road commissioner had said, why don't you resurvey this and bring your property line to right here? We only need about 12 feet off the edge of the side of the road. That's plenty for us. So there is a property line adjustment, and I have an email exchange back and forth that there's a receptivity to moving the property line from back here over to right here. Costs around $10,000 to get an extra roughly 30 feet of property towards the road. Now that contributes substantially to the value of the property. Now the next step then is to pour these slabs, which up at least until here should be poured thick enough for heavy trucks, etc. Because this becomes the parking area and the support for this retaining wall right here. We now have a wonderful area for parking to take place. The power lines are here, and what that means is that modular homes, prefabricated homes that are incredibly high quality, that are built off-site, can be brought in a semi and parked right here. The crane can be a smaller crane parked right here, or right over this pillar here. And the crane can basically take things off the semi, we put them over and on top of this pad. The crane can also modularly install the decks in the front. So it is, and once that is done, this can be developed at a later date. Now there's also approval for a unit. I've talked with the county and have an email exchange where down in the lower part of the property, and this is one reason I think to consider building this floor out to the point where a crane could drive and put weight on this pillar right here, is that a modular unit could also be swung off into the front and down into the lower area of the property. Now that's useful because you can actually, the county has said they will allow, as long as this is all happening at once, you can move into the lower unit before you build this unit here. So you build this foundation unit, drive the crane out here, basically put the lower unit on piers in the lower section of the property. And then from that point there could live on the property as the rest of it was developed. You could also do something similar where the modular section of the home right here was brought into place. You move into here, and then there is a stairway connecting, but that can be temporarily closed, and a more custom design can be built in these lower levels right here. Now there are a couple of other things that make this design exciting. One of them is that this is all concrete, and that's the part that burns. In other words, this entire neighborhood and valley could catch on fire, and there'd be multiple concrete floors between and walls between this and this modular area up here. This whole area here is concrete. Stamped concrete is incredibly beautiful, hardy, and low maintenance and drought resistant. So this becomes one of the most low maintenance, one of the hardiest, meaning you could do stamped concrete the entire area and you use that as your walkways around the property and do a fire resistant deck with concrete and steel posts. This entire thing becomes fire resistant. You can of course mount your solar panels up here. The Tesla solar roof is fireproof, which is a very nice feature of a solar roof. So you then have power, and there is a stream that would allow you to put a water tank right here for water harvesting in the winter. So now the property becomes really fully off-grid. You've got off-grid power, you can have off-grid internet with Starlink, you can have off-grid water that is purified. They do demand that you connect with the water, but you don't have to use that. You can use your own filtered system. So these are a couple of the ways that a very difficult to build on lot becomes one of the most attractive properties, one of the best properties in Marin in terms of fire, one of the best properties in terms of view. This area up here is a beautiful view of the bay. One of the best properties for providing public safety and support. One of the best properties for being off-grid with its seasonal stream that just runs through the pillars. I recommend tight lining this area here with a 2-foot culvert past the building and then decoratively doing it so that you could put a pond in here. That's something I designed, but it's not necessary. And so this is the transformation from a very scary, confusing, difficult lot to build to one of the better properties. This will have more parking than any property in the neighborhood. So it comes with a lot of benefits.